Welcome to the Globetrottin ADs. This podcast is for you, athletic directors, activity coordinators, coaches, and program associates based in international schools around the world. The Globetrottin ADs is proudly hosted by Nick DeForest from the American International School Vienna and Matt Fleming from the American International School of Budapest. Here they are now, Nick and Matt and the Globetrottin ADs.
Hello, welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Globetrottin ADs. I am running solo today. I'm Nick DeForest without my colleague Matt, who's homesick, but we had this appointment, this meeting. We want to get this episode done and out to you because it's going to be some great stuff, like all of the episodes. But yeah, someone new to the program. From a new country too. We haven't had anyone from Israel on the show yet. And we want to welcome Ido, YaffetPedro. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you very much, Nick. I'm super glad to be here.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we met each other back in Brussels. We were both there for the Coaching for a Greater Purpose conference. And for
Correct.
the people that listen to all the episodes, we did a roundtable, and your voice is to be heard in that roundtable. And then, we talked a bit after, and with some emails, Here we are.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to be here. It's always a joy and a privilege to speak to speak and to share my passion and my endeavors and everything that I've been going through with my program, which I'll be more than happy to elaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we do that, and get into the program and everything that someone can take out of it, just give us a little bit about your background, because you've been all over, and you have you've coached in international schools too. So yeah, just share a little bit before we get going.
Of course. So altogether, I've been 11 years overseas, outside of Israel, coaching in Hanoi, in Vietnam, in the United Nations International School. For 3 years. That was just awesome in terms of culture, in terms of the kids and the amount of nationalities that played on the team and that were present on campus. Afterwards, we moved to the Netherlands for 4 years, and I've coached there as well. My background, I was a professional player, volleyball player in the Israeli national in the Israeli league, first league. And afterwards, I started coaching by the age of 21, after I finished with the army. And this is my passion. Sports is my passion. Volleyball is my passion. And along the years, I was just able to back it up with some studies. I did a first degree in physical education and life sciences. And since I was always drawn into the business world and to get to know people, I continued with the master's in business administration. And after about 8 years of studying, during this time, I also coached. And it was just, this is my passion.
Nice. That's nice. And I want to ask, because Israel, when I was there, I saw some great volleyball being played on the beaches. Beach volleyball, indoor, both.
I played indoor volleyball,
Yeah.
which is totally different sport than beach volleyball.
Sure.
But you're absolutely right. Beach volleyball is a big thing in Israel now, and for a while now.
Yeah.
And also, you can see people start embracing, playing volleyball with their foot. So Israel is all about improvisation and innovation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right. Well, let's what you've created from your background in coaching and loving the sport and then your education it's called the INNER C.R.E.D.I.T CREATOR, right?
Correct.
Can you just explain that a little bit, or what it stands for?
Of course. So the INNER C.R.E.D.I.T creators, the inner is obviously something that's within. The credit stands for C for consistency.
Okay.
R for relations,
Okay.
E for expertise,
Mm-hmm.
D for dependability, I for inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
and T for tact.
Tact. Okay.
Basically, what I did is, when you take, when we were kids, we had this piggy, small piggy with this many coins inside that our
Mm-hmm. Sure.
parents gave us, and we tossed it inside. And just imagine that you take this small piggy, you shake it really hard, and then you throw it on the ground and it breaks. And
Okay.
then all those small pieces, and the analogy has to do with trust.
Mm-hmm.
The initial idea is how to gain trust.
Okay.
How can coaches gain trust in all the dimensions? How can they be trustworthy with their stakeholders if it has to do with their managers, with their
Right.
athletes, with the parents of the athletes, basically the whole stakeholders and the community itself, in order to enhance and to empower and to see a steady and gradual growth
Mm-hmm.
of the community. This is what I had in mind.
Okay.
And after working in so many in those years, and I've seen different cultures on the court and off the court, and I managed to understand a couple of things. I managed to understand that so many coaching schools and coaching academies are
Mm-hmm.
putting their tone and their emphasis on the technical and the tactical part.
Right.
I mean, if you would look on the syllabus of the coaching academy, you would mostly see about 80 to 85% material that has to do with biomechanics, physiology, anatomy,
Right.
and which is very important. It's 100% important, but I believe that we need to start prioritize it in a way that the psychological part and the soft skills part
Right.
has to get a much more significant chunk of this whole syllabus.
Right. Right.
So when I saw that, and after being on the court as an athlete, and after being on the court as a coach,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that there are so many small. You remember this piggy that we threw on the floor? So
Yeah.
all those small pieces that has to do with the coach, because I'm aiming for the coach. I want to the whole program
Mm-hmm.
is the journey that the coach is supposed to undertake.
Okay. Great.
So the idea is that the coach is basically is on the court, and there are so many small details that the coach needs to be aware of while he's during practice, while he gives a speech before a game, in the dressing room, during the game, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously after the game, feedback and how all those things are done.
Right.
Sometimes there is the feeling that the coach is the function that does so much on one hand
Mm-hmm.
and is expected to do much more.
Right.
But to my understanding and according to my experience, the tools that I got was insufficient,
Yeah. Yeah.
if it makes sense.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, and that's the thing where international schools sometimes are lucky when they employ teachers as coaches, right? Because at least they've had the teacher training. But even still, we
Exactly.
expect our teachers to be all of those things, and psychologists as well, a lot of the times, right?
Absolutely. So that's the thing. That's the thing. We expect the coaches to form something out of the team.
Yeah.
So we start the season. For example, now we start the winter season, whether it's basketball or swimming or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We have a coach who is at least semi sufficient to coach,
Mm-hmm.
and we hope that something comes up. We hope that something is being woven there.
Right.
there is the team, the team dimension that the coach needs to build.
Yeah.
There is the individual goals and the team goals that the coach needs to build under this, constraint, which called, it's about 16 weeks altogether gross.
Hmm.
If you also, you add the Christmas break and
Sure.
Thanksgiving and all those breaks. So the coach needs to be a magician. And sometimes it's quite difficult, we have to
Sure.
say. It's quite challenging.
Yeah. There are lots of different things to deal with, like just at our school, the coaches they're dealing with me or our office, right? They're with the
Yeah,
players, of course, but with the parents and then maybe with other teachers that are, asking them about kids missing class or how they behave. There's all sorts of different kinds of people you need to relate to and be accountable to,
absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely.
so you help and wanna you've recognized this need, right? Obviously, and you help coaches,
Yeah.
I think, be more impactful and have fun while doing it. So tell us a bit about the journey that you would put the coaches on, I would say, in your program.
Okay, so I'll explain.
Yeah.
Um, my program again has the inner credit creator
Mm-hmm.
has to do with taking the coach from the different pillar skills that the program has.
Mm-hmm.
For example, as we said, the
Great.
credit,
Mm-hmm.
which links to trust. So C for consistency. Each pillar skill of those initials, the credit initials, has to do with has in store different steps.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, consistency has to do with ambition. First step of that is ambition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ambition is something that everyone heard about it, knows something about it,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes when you're in the orientation of a coach or a team, it's tricky to put everything together.
Sure.
So because everyone comes from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
the workload of the athletes is quite high,
Yeah.
and we need to make sure that when they arrive to practice, they are there.
Yeah.
They present, they live the moment, and they absorb as much as they could. And this is our job as coaches
Right.
to facilitate their success, our athlete's success.
Right.
So in order to do that, the journey basically starts with how to become more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to define the goal. You have to define the ambition. You have to make sure that you're accountable to what you're doing. You have to create the safe environment.
Yeah.
So there's several steps which are completely teachable. And here is the thing. What makes sense about it is that it's hands-on and it's chronological in order.
Mm-hmm.
So everything makes sense and wraps it in a way that it basically it entails you have, for example, I'll give you an example from one of
Mm-hmm.
the pillar skills, which is relation. Relation is all about building the connection with our athletes or
Right.
with our ADs or with the parents, any kind of stakeholder within the community. So the second step of relation is intent.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be able to to encourage curiosity
Yeah.
and inquiring environment. I need to be able to let my athletes feel that their questions are not an embarrassment for them.
Mm-hmm.
This is a way for them to learn and to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And by setting an example, I ask at least 25 to 100 questions per practice.
Wow.
And it can be from questions of anatomy. It can be questions of what makes sense to you when you bump, if it's volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
How would you collaborate better at a certain game condition?
Right.
And what it does basically, it triggers the curiosity of the players. So
Yeah.
if the player, before he came, his girlfriend told him something that made him agitated,
Yeah.
and is all crossed during the practice,
Right.
I need to transform his thinking and his mindset, and to make sure that he's present during the practice.
Yeah.
I need him there.
Yeah. And asking the questions is a great way to get their mind thinking on something else, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can basically communicate in two types of, and verbally, I mean, in two
Yeah.
types of methods. One, we can make statements,
Hmm.
or we can ask questions.
Yeah.
Now, I find it much more engaging to ask questions, and I find it much more enriching for the long run
Yeah.
to ask the questions, and then we develop some kind of dialogue between, all everyone,
Right.
which basically everyone adds on to the other person's answer,
Yeah.
and then we try it on the court, and then we give feedback to one another,
Hmm.
and then we see how it looks. And this is exactly how the program works. So each step,
Hmm.
we have some kind of a learning phase
Hmm.
of the step. Then we have an exercise,
Hmm.
and then we go and give feedback. So, for
Sure.
example, if we learn about intent, as we said, intent,
Yeah.
a drill in intent would be, and it doesn't matter if you come from swimming. It's a generic exercise that is valid for every sport.
Yeah.
So if you take it to I always my major is volleyball. So
Sure.
the idea is make someone else's success yours,
Yeah.
when it comes to intent.
That's great. Yeah.
Many people wouldn't necessarily agree, but what do you mean make someone else's success mine? I mean, my success is mine.
That's what, as a parent, you know, you get joy when your kids are having fun, right? You're happy when they're happy, right? To dumb it down. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing, right?
But
Yeah.
but sometimes I remember, as a player, I used to have a very good friend played with me, and he was a setter in volleyball.
Hmm.
And every time he was subbed out, when he sat on the bench, he always, after the game, he told me, "Do I wanted the team to lose.
Hmm.
I won't forget that." And as a kid, I found it funny because he
Yeah.
was a funny guy,
Sure.
regardless. But when you grow up, and you understand that, different and conflict of interest
Yeah.
within the team, this is something that you will need to work on as a coach.
Yeah.
So it was very important to tackle that as coach,
Yeah.
and to make sure that everyone is on the same page,
Right.
and just making sure that, even if I'm on the court or I'm on the bench, we're still one aggregated strong team.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Just going back to the curious and asking questions. I say to my teams every year, every season, when you're with me out here, it's an hour and a half practice. It doesn't matter what happened before. Your math test, your boyfriend, uh, your girlfriend, whatever. I say it all the time. Just give me the time when you're here, and you'll be better off. But I think that's easy for some people, but not easy for everybody. So asking questions constantly, having them, making sure they're thinking, and not just doing. Yeah,
Exactly,
that's
because
like that.
when you make statements,
Yeah,
let's say you make a statement that the world was composed in 6 days, for example, and then people think about it, your athletes think about it,
hmm,
and then you say another statement, but they're not with you anymore because they're
right,
still thinking about your first statement.
right,
But when you ask questions,
yeah,
you get answers.
yeah,
And when you get answers, it evolves.
yeah. The learning
So this is
just
for me. And sometimes you say, I want to be more motivated. I want you. As coach, I used to say in my first the early years as a coach, I used to say, guys, we need to be more motivated. We need to be on the court. We need to be more focused.
hmm,
And this is something that, okay. And then I put myself in the shoes of my athletes. What does it mean?
yeah,
What does it mean to be more focused? Okay, I feel like I'm focused.
yeah, yeah. You have to teach the tools to help them be more focused, right? I mean, that's
Exactly.
that's
Exactly. that's the thing. You need to lead them there.
Yeah.
You need to facilitate the way. You need
Right.
to put all those small plants for them to harvest,
Right.
because they don't know exactly how it's done.
Right.
They know that they are motivated. They know that they are there to do the best they can,
Right.
but it's your job to make them shine, everyone in his own
Sure.
way.
And I think that's how kids are changing now. I've been coaching over 30 years, I guess, and kids just, or when I played, kids just listen to their coach. The coach says this is why we're doing it, and we're doing it. But that's not the way anymore. Kids don't just do what you tell them because you're the coach, right? They need to know why. They want to know why. Not just to help them learn, but to understand what they're doing out there. So the more,
Absolutely.
more a coach can explain things of why we're doing this or why this is important, whether it's a
Yeah.
soft skill or a sport specific skill, it's
Yeah,
valuable.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you're saying that, because one of the steps in the inspirational
Mm-hmm.
in the IKE is choice.
Mm-hmm.
Choice has to do with me as a coach. I'm not necessarily a leader.
Right.
As you said, I'm a coach. The coach said to do that. The coach, like Simon said, to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work anymore. I
Yeah.
don't think that the kids are smarter than what that in comparison to what we were
Yeah.
when we were athletes, but they've got more they've got more sophisticated.
Right.
They have much more room and privilege to ask questions,
Right.
and we are much more tolerant than our coaches, and I think it's a beautiful trend. I
Mm-hmm.
think this is the right way to go.
Yeah.
And basically, this is what the whole program, as I said, takes you step by step to reach all those. It's interesting that you say that, because as I said at the beginning,
Yeah.
us coaches, we know that,
Yeah.
because in our essence, it's innate within us that we are givers. Coaches are givers.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And as givers, we just want to make sure that we have benevolence around us, that the kids get what they need to get. And we feel bad if we see that someone is dissatisfied at the end of practice, at the end of game, and we always think how we should improve that kind of situation.
Right.
So
Right.
everything it has to do with choice for them to choose that they want to be on the court, because when they choose, they are getting connected into something that's bigger than them.
Cookery are a global multi-sport clothing brand specializing in providing the world's most prestigious schools with bespoke made and designed team uniforms for students of all standards and abilities. If you are frustrated by inconsistent colors, branding, costs, and sizing across your school's uniforms, then it's time to discuss an offering where every sport is available, from softball to soccer, for male and female athletes at rates to suit your budget. To find out how Cookery could elevate the apparel of your student athletes to a professional level, email the team at contact@cookerysports.com. A dedicated sales manager will offer you a quote today. Mention this ad and receive a special offer on your coach or PE staff order. Yeah, well, let's switch from their team to something a bit bigger. And well, I've written a book, and it's called A Global Playbook, and a lot of it is about how a whole school can improve. If they focus on their athletics, they can improve their whole school community, right? Everything in that community can improve. So thinking about communities, you mentioned it a little bit, but how important do you think competitive sports are to our communities?
First of all, big congratulations on your book. It's a huge step, and I think it takes courage to do that.
Yeah.
And I think you just put yourself out there, and I think it's empowering and it's great.
Thank
So
you.
congrats for that. Secondly, in terms of community, as I said, the team for me is a microcosmos of the community,
Mhm.
because the community has several forces that supposed to work together
Mhm.
in order to enrich itself and to empower all the individuals within it.
Right.
So when it comes to communities, if we're talking about parents, you know, one day I did a walk on the park, and I saw this soccer game, and I heard parents yelling on the ref.
Mm.
What are you doing? There was a foul, and the kid and another parent was screaming at some other kid. He doesn't know how to play. Put him down to the bench. Take him to. I was like, what are you doing? What? This is not an appropriate way to tackle it.
Sure.
So when we're talking about community, we're talking about, for me, if I had let's say, below average player as a son, and I would go watch him, it doesn't matter. I don't care about his performance.
Right.
I care for his courage to stand on the court and to experiment his abilities, his strength to tackle in his challenging parts when it comes to the individual capabilities
Hmm.
on the pitch. And for me, I just enjoy watching you play.
Right.
This is what I like.
Yeah.
Because if we go back to the competitive part, I
Hmm.
think competitive part is something that it's so important in our lives, especially from a younger age. Because, and I differ between, competitive orientation and win orientation.
Hmm.
It's totally different thing. When you have this win orientation, for me, it's something that if I'm not winning, I'm a loser.
Mm. A or B,
And we
right?
need to, exactly, it's binary, as you
Yeah.
said. It's either there's one or zero, and it's totally not. Because, and I'll tell you a small anecdotal story about it, if it's okay.
Sure, sure.
I remember when I was coaching basketball in Vietnam with the varsity girls, we went to Kobe in Japan. It's a small man-made island in Japan,
Hmm.
and we it was a super tournament of 12 teams,
Hmm.
and we did well. We ended up seventh, in the seventh place.
Hmm.
I was totally satisfied. I know that the girls did whatever they could as team, as individual, to do the best performance they could. And we ended up seventh, and it didn't bother me at all. But at the end of those games, there is the ceremony, the closing ceremony.
Hmm.
And when the AD says, he gives out the trophies and says some words about sportsmanship and all those things. And you could have seen, and this is a vision that I will never forget. You saw 11 teams with their faces to the ground.
Wow.
They were devastated. They felt bad. And there was one team that was, ecstatic. They were, and their mood was amazing. Obviously, they won the tournament.
Right.
But is this something that we want to encourage?
Yeah.
Is this win orientation? Just imagine, it's 8.3% of the attendees that are happy.
Yeah.
You've got another 91.7% of
Sure.
that they are not happy. The
Right.
majority are, it's not that they are not happy, they are with the faces to the ground, they are
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is something that has to change from the root.
Sure. Sure.
I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, you fail more than you succeed, right? I mean, how many years do
Yeah,
people play, and how many championships do they win, right? It's yeah,
exactly.
you
That's
lose.
why it's even more important to understand that failure is not a
Right.
person. Failure is an event.
Yeah.
It's a feedback.
Yeah.
What?
I was a baseball player, and
Really?
uh,
Okay.
and and the if you get a hit in baseball in the major leagues, if you get a hit
Okay.
3 out of 10 times, then
Okay.
you're often in the Hall of Fame. You're that good, and that
Okay.
means you fail 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
So that's a good sport to recognize, all failure isn't
Absolutely.
bad, and get back out
Yes,
there
yes,
and
yes. I mean,
yeah,
30%, what it basically means that the 30% is much, much more substantial than
yeah,
the remaining 70.
absolutely, yeah,
But if we go back to the competitive
yeah,
orientation, for me, the competitive orientation gives the athletes and the coaches, gives them a set of skills that prepare them so well to the real life
Right.
after the school. So if it has to do with all sorts of adversities on court, and when I say adversities, it's not necessarily something bad. It can be something challenging,
Sure.
something that
Sure.
for me I need to deal with, and I can definitely work it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to work it out. I
Right.
can't just sweep it under the carpet.
Right.
One thing. Secondly, is when you put kids together that strive for one goal,
Mm-hmm.
this is exactly how things work in real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Community wise, corporates, schools, and the community is just one type of group within another bigger group and another bigger group, which is basically the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And we want to make an impact as big as possible.
Right. I think that's why the time we have with our athletes, is short, right? Even in that season, in that one practice, that season is short. So to make the most of it and make the most impact that we can is really important.
Definitely. That's why I always say to coaches, even if you touched one soul
Mm-hmm.
within the team, and this this athlete goes with something that you left
Mm-hmm.
with her, with him, I think it's enough. With
Yeah.
this short time frame
Yeah.
and all the challenges throughout the season,
Absolutely.
if you touched one soul, you did your job
Yeah.
as an educator, as a coach, and it's a big thing.
Well, Ido, we're speaking the same language a lot. You mentioned it and some of the things back and forth where we touch on the same points, and
Yeah.
they're important ones. And I think it's great that you've put something together to help reach coaches that maybe aren't speaking the same language as us right now, or maybe not on all
Yeah.
those different levels. So any little thing, and if as we're trying to make connections to our students, you have to reach coaches in different ways and makes connections to them. So if your program can reach and connect with coaches who are then in turn going to go and connect with more students, it's fantastic. So if people have enjoyed the conversation today and they're listening, that they should reach out to you and get some more info the way that you can either help them or
Yeah.
help their coaches. So how can someone do
I
that?
mean, I'm first of all, I'm so passionate, to work with people and to share my work after such a long time of being a coach and
Mm-hmm.
working with kids from multicultural backgrounds. For me, it would just be awesome to share these insights
Yeah.
that I've built into one framework.
Right.
I can be reached via cell phone. I can be reached via email. Do you want me to say
Yeah.
the
I'll put it in the notes for sure. But if
Okay, so my
yeah.
cell phone number is plus 972
Mm-hmm.
53 270 1479.
Okay.
This is my phone number, and my email is I for information, D for David, O for opportunity, uh, Y for yellow, 90 at gmail.com.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's great, and that just shows you're ready, given your cell phone number as often we do it. That you're just eager to connect with people. So that's great.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely, as much as possible. It basically it ignites me.
Yeah.
It ignites. I think people who want to engage with other people, who want to share ideas, want to give. When you basically giving is the whole secret of life for me. Giving is living. Living is giving.
The I've learned this term through our American colleagues in the NIAAA. They build it around the term servant leadership and being a servant leader, and I really like that. And that's exactly what you just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
In other words, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
we're not done yet, almost, but I've had the fantastic opportunity of come to Israel, and I came for a meeting with the American school and stayed in Tel Aviv and
Okay.
toured around. It was fantastic. But for anybody out there,
Great. Yeah.
share something with us. your favorite food, favorite thing to do, something people can't
Okay.
miss when they come. Give us give us something great.
Okay. So the Sea of Galilee is amazing.
Okay.
It used to be the major water supply in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people they do SUP, the
Mm-hmm.
small
Yeah.
surfboard. So a lot of people do that, and you can not sky, sorry, you can do a windsurfing there,
Mm-hmm.
and the weather is amazing. The flavors is just, you eat it and you're like, okay, where you take the next bite and you're in a different adventure. And then the third, it's just the tastes are so. The taste, I think, reflect the diversity of the cultures that arrived to Israel about 60, 70 years ago.
Right.
This is beautiful. The food and the scenery, and it's so Israel on one hand is so tiny.
Mm-hmm.
In 7 hours, you basically cross Israel from north to south.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it's so diverse that you've got the desert, you've got mountainous
Right.
side, you've got snow in the winter.
Yeah. Wow.
It's very diverse, and it's really, really, people are totally outgoing, and it's an amazing experience to be a tourist in Israel.
Great. Well, thanks. Well, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing your program, your passion, obviously, of,
Yeah,
of not just coaching kids, but helping coaches get better. And
yeah.
chatting with me this
Thank you
evening.
very much. It was a big, big pleasure. Thank you very much, Nick.
You're very welcome. It's great to connect again after Brussels, and I'm sure we'll meet each other again sometime soon. So.
Yeah.
Until next week, this has been another episode of the Globetrottin ADs.